Welcome to another edition of Journey of Hope. Stories of people sharing their journey seeking hope and wholeness and happiness, wellness. Our special guest today is Ron Watson. Ron is the director of planned giving here at Loma Linda. He has had 20 years where he's been working here and has had a tremendous impact upon the philanthropic support for many of the institutions here at Loma Linda. But Ron, like many others that have been involved in ministry, find out that it's one thing to be ministering to others when they themselves encounter some kind of health challenges. Ron, it's good to have you here. We got people from around the world that are watching. And we want to share a little bit about your journey, and for our listening audience, tell us a little bit about where you're from and a little bit about your background. And we'll talk about your work here.
Well, just briefly, I was born in Florida. I grew up there and went to Forest Lake Academy boarding school. Graduated from there and went on to Southern Missionary, which is now Southern Adventist University. Graduated from there and went straight into the ministry in Kentucky, Tennessee Conference.
As a pastor?
As a pastor.
Now, I've learned since I've known you in the last many, many years, when you talk about Florida, I think of Florida differently than when you think about Florida. When you're talking about Florida, you're talking about the South.
Oh, yes, right.
Okay, so you were born in the South.
I was born in the South. My great-grandparents from South Carolina, what we call Low Country.
Okay.
And the rest of my family were from South Georgia. And of course, down in that area, we call North Florida South, and South Florida is North.
Right. Yeah. I'm still trying to get some of these things straightened out. But you talk about the low country and the high country. What's the difference?
Well, low country means it's close to the ocean. It was a rice-growing area during colonial times. And so they just call it low country as opposed to the Piedmont and the mountains and the Appalachians. And then when I said South Florida is North, it means that northern people settle South Florida and southern people settle North Florida. So
okay.
I was just making a little joke there.
So, but yeah, I mean, you were raised in the South.
Yes, very much so. Yeah.
And then you began your ministry apparently in the South.
I did.
Was that Kentucky?
Kentucky, Tennessee, and Nashville.
In the Nashville area. All right. So you began in the ministry, and then from where? Let's just kind of quickly go through where you were in the ministry.
Well, I was ordained in Arkansas at Gentry at our academy there. Then I went on to Pennsylvania and spent time near Philadelphia. And
so now we're talking about going north.
Well, I went north of the Mason-Dixon line for the first time. And I told the good folk there, don't ask me to go to Gettysburg, but let's go see the Liberty Bell.
All right. So you pastored in Pennsylvania.
Then we went to Ohio, and I was in Cleveland and then in Worthington.
And you were in Worthington for how many years? 3
or 4 years, yeah.
Okay.
I had a really great ministry with the Ohio people, and they were marvelous to me. And then from there, we came west.
And when you moved west, what did you do?
I was pastoring in San Bernardino. My wife is from this area. Her dad used to pastor up at the Campus Hill Church.
Okay.
So this was home to her. W.W. White.
W.W. White. Right, I wanted to bring that up.
Thank you.
W.W. White. And so it was kind of like coming home for her then.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. She was home.
So pastored in San Bernardino area for a while, and then what?
Then I worked with our conference and its trust services for 5 years.
Okay, so that's where you got into planned giving.
Exactly.
And from there, then you ended up coming over here to Loma Linda.
Yes.
Now, for our listening audience, what is planned giving? Because every once in a while we have people that are watching and they can make a difference through their planned giving.
That's true. Well, planned giving is a donation to a charity, a church like our campus here too, but it's a gift that returns an income to the individual during their lifetime, or they can pass it on to their children as an income stream for up to 20 years. So it's really a very fine way to make a gift and still receives benefit from the principal amount or that asset, whatever. And there are many tax advantages that can come to play in that as well. But mainly it gives an opportunity for many people who could not make a gift to make a significant gift to our campus.
So it's a part of estate planning, and there's different documents that can be created,
exactly,
customized for the people. And I know people do that for LLBN.
Yeah.
For our program here, they can do that, remembering LLBN in their estate plan. And here on the campus, we have many. That's a wonderful thing about Loma Linda. There's so many different options that people out there that are looking for a charity, they can find something that they're interested in here. So you ended up coming to Loma Linda in plan giving. You had this experience over there at the Southeastern California Conference.
Right.
Developed the expertise. So during the last 20 years,
Yes,
20 years, 2 decades you've been here. What a tremendous impact plan giving has had on philanthropy here at Loma Linda. Tell us just kind of briefly what's happened. I mean, just a quick snapshot of some of the things that have happened here.
Well, I appreciate your saying that. Many of our gifts on campus, and the gifts that have come to our campus, I should say, have been planned gifts that have helped to fund many of the new buildings, scholarships, and endowments. It's helped in many vast areas to assist our mission program overseas. So we're very, very grateful for our donors and generous people over the years who have made these contributions, and there are literal monuments on our campus, physical and spiritual, that attest to their
people
generosity.
that have loved the institution.
Oh, yes.
And the institution's made an impact upon them. We're finding that with the medical center, and some of our grateful patients are beginning to remember, you know, Loma Linda, the Proton Center, the medical center, or LLBN, people that are watching, grateful people that it's been made an impact upon their life. And so they sit down. I'm surprised, Ron, at how many people get into their 60s and 70s and have not yet created a will or a trust. Somehow there's something about the fear of putting down and talking about it like it's going to hasten the day. But yeah, there's all kinds of buildings around here that are a testimony to people that have made a commitment, and it's come out of relationships. And I know that you and some of the people you work with in the office there have, over the years, have developed and cultivated these relationships, and then people put in their estate plan. Could be a charitable remainder trust, where, as you were mentioning, they're getting some type of an income while they're still here, and then at the time of their death, then it goes to it can go to part of the family, and then later on come back to the institution.
That's true, and our medical professional people, our household staff, it cuts across the whole gamut of our sense of wholeness, as you said earlier, on our campus, whether it's education or in the healing ministry, that people have been affected, and because sometimes of the simplest kindness and gesture, individuals have come to me and said how much they meant, and they wanted to see that continue on. Yeah. And would happen to other people in their lives as well.
And I find, as I've been here on LLBN, there are even people talking about doing something and remembering LLBN in their estate plan, because it's been making an impact upon their life. Well, Ron, as a pastor over the years, you've been out ministering to other people, and I learned when I came here 10, 11 years ago that if there's one thing that you really didn't care for, it was hospitals and shots and needles. In fact, how do you relate? I mean, tell me a little bit, because it's going to lead into where I want to have the audience hear about you.
Well, when I go to have my blood drawn, it turns a little bit of a circus for the people there, so I take candy to them, bribe them down here to encourage them to not be unhappy to see me arrive, you know, because I'm not their favorite patient. But I used to have a very strong reaction. I'd have arrhythmia. My heartbeat.
I mean, really a physical reaction.
A physical reaction, yeah, to the...
just getting a little simple shot.
Not a simple shot. Usually when they drew blood.
When they drew blood.
I could handle the shot a little bit better, but I wasn't too good with the removal of the blood.
Have you ever passed out?
Oh, yes, almost every time.
Oh, really? Well, so there's something consistent there.
But I would say the phlebotomists here are very, very good, and for the most part, they manage to trace me through it pretty well, and the pathway is pretty smooth. And they're very kind and very long-suffering and patient with me.
Well, I know you had one little problem that we'll talk about in a minute about your heart, but you've been in the hospital a couple of times.
Yes.
Tell us about it.
I don't remember dates very well, but I think about let's see, it'll be about 2007, and that year in 2008, I had some wisdom teeth removed, and Dr. Salzman was very good to take care of me, and he and his staff kept in touch with me. A nice part about it was that Linda Watt, who was the anesthesiologist when I had my hernia surgery a few weeks earlier, was also there. And
You mean for the dental?
Well, fortunately, her son was going to have some dental work done and was there, so she called me up and let me know that she knew I might be a little worried about the anesthesia because my heartbeat dropped under the anesthesia during my hernia operation, and that caused a bit of a stir. But she was right on target with her assistants and carried me through it very nicely. So the anesthesiologist at Dr. Salzman's office, of course, wanted to know
what's going on here?
What about with this fellow? And so Linda cleared it up with him, and then she called me and said, "Don't worry, Ron, I'll be there." And what a comfort it was to me to walk into that office, and here she's sitting with her husband, Dr. Jacobson, and she was there throughout the whole procedure. And I want to mention that from the standpoint that I appreciate that personal gesture and that extension of consideration to me, because I really was frightened, you know, of going under anesthesia again. And then there was checking. My PSA was a little high. Dr. Larson said, "I want this checked out." Dr. Ruckel took care of that for me, and everything cleared up. But Dr. Ruckel's very thorough, and he discovered some scarring on my kidneys. So he sent me to Dr. Teichman, who was very kind and recognized my...
So you go in for one thing, and they find out something else.
Yes, I don't know what was wrong with that year, but 2008, I think, seemed like everything was coming to the fore, and I had to deal with it. And I've always enjoyed very good health, and I haven't been robust, necessarily, or strongly athletic person, but I managed to...
Taking good care of your health,
had done very well,
Sure.
yeah. And just, all of a sudden, things began to
fall
loosen
apart.
up and fall apart. That's a good way to put it. So Dr. Larson was very thorough, and he made sure I got checked out. And then I went through Dr. Ruckel's careful examinations, and then Dr. Teichman. And he was very kind also, and was very careful and thorough. And he recognized I had a residual concern, so
You're being very kind, had a little residual concern.
Yeah, and he wanted me to know that I did not need to worry, that I was all right. Probably I had some high blood pressure, and I didn't know it because I normally had very low blood pressure. And I remember when I had to go to ER one night with this arrhythmia, from the blood situation. Dr. Geem was there, and he couldn't have been more kind and considerate and
helping you to relax.
Again, yes, helping me to relax and long suffering, and not taking an attitude that there's something wrong with me. He took it as though that this is a normal reaction with many people, and he did his best to make me feel comfortable and got me into the East Campus at that time was still operating as a community hospital,
Sure.
and so they took very, very good care of me, and I appreciate that. And Dr. Marsa then came in and had a little chat with me and said that he would like to have my heart checked with catheterization, and I had 2 friends die of catheterization, and so I wasn't very happy about that.
And you knew that they had had this bad experience.
Yes.
Okay. So how did this impact you?
Well, it really was very frightening to me. We have our trust, and we recognize Providence is with us, and that's what helped me move along in this whole process, because when Dr. Marsa said, and he brought Wanda in, and my wife, of course, to kind of, support him in the decision. I said, "Well, when would you like to have this done?" He says, "They're waiting for you."
No time to worry.
No time to worry.
You couldn't think about it's going to be 2 weeks away. Right now.
Right now.
They want to do it right now.
But even the medical staff in the what do you call it, an ambulance?
Yeah.
Emergency vehicle.
Emergency room.
Took me from, East Campus over to the medical center. And they were very considerate and talked to me all along the way and helped me to feel comfortable. And when I got into the area itself, then they're all telling me that catheterization was actually, originally invented here. I mean, it was
where it got started.
It was started into its program, and they knew exactly what they were doing. And I think I had the highest blood pressure ever recorded for myself that day. And I really was, I think I was physically reacting to that basic fear, but I had a great sense of confidence in the staff that surrounded me, and they talked to me and they explained things. And, but I told them, don't explain too much, because just the visualization might be disturbing. But they gave me is it Versed? Is that what they give you?
Yeah.
I said, I'd love to have that every morning of my life. That was marvelous.
You kind of felt really...
Really grand, you know, and the young people who worked with me, and then it was all up on the screen, and I could watch what they're doing, and they said, now, we're going to put the fluid in, and you're going to feel a flush of heat. And I was amazed how fast our heart, you know,
it puts it through
our bodies, and so I felt it, I certainly did. And at that time, there was no blockage, and they said, we've got good news for you. And I was very happy to hear that. And then Dr. Ruckel called me in his office, and I have good news. You know, there was no problem with prostate cancer of any sort. And so each step of the way, everything was just marvelous until 2008.
Until 2008. And then what happened?
Well, I woke up one night, and I didn't feel right. I wasn't in pain, and I didn't feel but I felt uncomfortable.
In the middle of the night?
About 3 in the morning. And I always visualized a heart attack as some kind of jabbing, stabbing, uncomfortable experience.
Pain and,
all kinds of pain. And I didn't feel that at all. But I didn't feel right. And I got up and walked around the house, and then I felt a little sting of pain in my jaw and up my carotids.
Just
here.
a little pain.
Just a tiny bit. And I said,
something abnormal.
Something's wrong here. And I took, my brother's a physician, he said 2 aspirins would have done it, but I took 4. And
twice as,
Yeah, I figured if 2's good, 4's better. And I went back and I woke Wanda
Did you
up.
swallow them or chew them?
No, I swallowed them.
You swallowed them, okay. 4 aspirin.
Yeah. And I woke her up and I said, I think you better call 911. She took my blood pressure, and it was a little high, but not exceptionally so. But anyway, I said, I'm not feeling right. So, and when we got into the emergency vehicle, I said, I'd like to go to Loma Linda. And he said, I don't think we have time for that.
And it's not a lot farther.
No,
it's not a lot farther.
I live in Highland, and St. Bernardine's is clear down to Waterman.
He said, we got to get you.
We got to get you there. And he tried to draw my blood the whole way. It was the most miserable, horrible ride of my life.
They're jabbing away, and you're thinking something's going wrong, and you don't have time to get to Loma Linda. It's not that far away.
Exactly.
What's happening? Okay.
But I had been a volunteer chaplain at St. B's, and I felt very good about it, because I thought if they get me there, I'll be fine. And I knew they had a good cardiology department. And as I say, I'd been a chaplain there when I was pastoring, and I really enjoyed the fellowship. So when I went in, the staff just came right around me quickly, and they made some fast evaluations and said, we really feel you're going to need to have a stent. You've had, we believe, a heart attack. And then all of a sudden, I was waking up. And
You mean the next thing you know, you're kind of waking up?
And this is like 4 and 5 in the morning, and I said, oh, I'm sorry. I said, I think I must have drifted off, because they're asking me questions, you know. And they
You're
said,
apologizing.
Right, I'm apologizing for falling asleep. And they said, no, Ron, keep talking. He says, we're glad to hear your voice. And I said, well, thank you. And he said, your heart stopped. And we couldn't get it going.
So the heart had actually stopped, and they couldn't get it going.
They tried CPR, and that didn't work. They put the paddles on, and that didn't work right away. But then all of a sudden, thank God it did.
And you're all of a sudden opening your eyes and apologizing for falling asleep on them.
Right, but I can tell you right then, I was giving the Lord a good thank you, and I was thanking them for being so alert and staying with me, you know, because they said we had to shock you 3 times before we got any response.
God wasn't through with you.
No, it wasn't through for whatever. And so anyway, we went up, and shortly Dr. Estes arrived, and I think he's head of cardiology there, really a fine physician and very gentle, kindly man, and he explained what he was going to do, and so pretty soon I had a stent.
So they put a stent in, and and how long were you in the hospital? So you actually did have a heart attack.
Yes, they said I did. But fortunately,
not only a heart attack, but your heart actually stopped.
I guess an artery, that was
blocked.
Was blocked, but it was not determining that much of my heart, so I had no muscle damage. Oh. So thankfully, I was very, very fortunate, and I was very grateful for that. And I'm up in the cardiac care, and the nurse is very attentive and thoughtful. And after a little while, she sees that I'm a little more alert. She says, "I know who you are." And I said, "Really? Who am I?" And she said, "You were one of my favorite pastors when I was a kid."
Really?
I said, "I can't believe it." I said, "Tell me your family name." And so when she gave me her family name, then I recognized her. But of course, I hadn't seen her.
Somebody that you pastored years ago.
Mm-hmm. She was a teenager in my church.
And now she's
ninth and
one of your nurses.
She was my nurse, yeah.
Wow.
And there's the staff there, and others came, and then people came from Loma Linda, and I really was very grateful. And I think it was only there 3 or 4 days they were able to stabilize everything, and I was able to come back and pretty soon be back to work again.
So you had a stent put in, and we've got people watching that just this week they've learned something, you know, that they've got some kind of a heart problem. Some people that are watching may have just had a heart attack, or they're going to have to go in for surgery. We're talking about 2 years ago now, when this happened. So there is life after having a heart attack. I mean, unless it's a fatal one.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's true.
So what kind of, have you been on any rehab? I mean, you know, all of a sudden you have this wake-up call. You got a heart problem. You had a heart attack. Put the stent in. So are you doing anything differently now?
Well, I think I'm more conscious of doing exercise. I'm not a good regular exerciser, but I'm a good walker.
Okay, that's very important, though.
Yeah.
Walking is a
And I
great
did start riding my friend's bicycle. Mickey Ask was kind enough to start getting me involved in bicycling. And we have that great trail, you know, from San Bernardino. No, by San Bernardino goes down to Santa Ana.
Oh, sure.
And the first day I rode with him, we went 22 miles.
I said,
"Thanks, Mickey, that was great. You know, I just can't wait for our next time together." But he was very patient with me, and he let me use his bicycle and some of his gear, and I'd never worn a helmet before and that sort of thing. But that's my next project, is to get back on that, because my wife wasn't too enthusiastic about my bicycling. She felt it was a little
too much,
more strenuous.
Too soon?
And too soon, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So what about now, though? I mean, we're talking about a couple of years ago. Any problems with your heart?
None whatsoever.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So there is life after having some kind of heart
absolutely,
problem.
And I feel like I probably can do most anything I want to do. I probably am not real keen on heavy lifting and that sort of thing, because I try to be careful of that.
Sure.
But normally speaking, everything else is pretty much to normal.
Okay, so you're a pastor, have been for 40 years or more.
47.
47, and helping other people, but now all of a sudden you're the one that has the medical issue. How does this make an impact? I mean, having a heart attack. I haven't had a heart attack. I've had heart surgery, but I haven't had a heart attack. How does that make an impact on you?
Well, my first thought is very humbling. I mean, I like to think I'm fine, I'm fit, I'm doing well.
Immortal.
Immortal, yes, I suppose that's it. But I think also I recognize that we have a good health program under God's direction, and you know, here in our community here, it's an emphasis, and
especially here, yeah.
And you can see people running, you see people walking, you see people exercising. So there's a lot that really encourages you to move in this direction, and I'm very thankful for that. And it's been encouraging to me to continue now and the patients, because I can see the hospital from my house.
Right from where you are. That's right. You got high enough there where you're able to look down.
Right. And I was telling my friend Joan Coggan the other day when she was taking some therapy, I said, "Joan, I'm praying for you every morning at 5. She said, "Well, I don't really wake up till closer to 7. I said, "Well, then you're in good shape, because by the time you wake up, all the prayers have been stacked up for you, so you should be doing fine." Yeah. But no, it really is a time of not only exercise, but my mind is going back, and I think I become a little more reflective of how good God is to us and the providence He provides in granting us life. You know, I take it for granted for too many years.
We do.
All those years, you know, I'm busy, I'm active, and like you say, ministering to others, but you came to see me and prayed with me. I remember George and Joe Harding were one of the first ones who came, and it was such a blessing to have people come in and pray for me, and I could hear my name.
Yeah. Makes an impact.
And a prayer.
Yeah. Praying for you. And knowing that, you know, God hears and God answers. Mm-hmm. People care. I mean, it's so
it's enriched my life, if I can put it that way.
Sure, I understand.
And enhanced it and embellished it in a way that I would have never probably been able to convey to you had I not gone through that experience. And coming that close to death and realizing that everything can shut down so quickly and so easily.
Yeah, I mean, we're here today and gone tomorrow.
Gone tomorrow.
I mean, and it happens very, very, very
That's very
quickly.
true.
God was merciful and spared you and still had plans for you. And Ron, you know, I want to just once again thank you for all the tremendous work that you've done here for Loma Linda. All around the campus we see different things where plan giving has made an impact
thank
and
you.
made things possible.
We have very generous people.
And again, for our listening audience, there may be somebody out there in the audience right now that you've been positively impacted by Loma Linda Broadcasting Network, and you too, like Ron was suggesting, can remember LLBN in your plan giving and in your state planning. And again, for those that are looking on, I know that some of you this week, you've received some sobering news. God's got a plan for your life. If you look to Him, He will open and close doors. He will surround you with people that can minister to you. And even like Ron, who has shared his journey, you know, we're here today and we're gone tomorrow. Life it goes by quickly under the best of circumstances. But God's got a plan for each one of our lives. And as we look to Him and put our trust in Him, He will open and close doors, that His will be discerned, and we can have the confidence that He's going to guide us, direct us, lead us, and take us. Until next week, I'm Lynn Martell with Journey of Hope. Till next week, God bless you each one. Look to Him. Trust in Him. He'll guide you. Thank you so much.